Who is the fifth man for War Games? Is it going to be Seth Rollins? Is it going to be Braun Breaker? Is it going to be LA Knight? We've seen all these names, these superstars, get asked to join the OG bloodline. But Sammy, Jay, and Jimmy, they're all stuck on Seth Rollins. They're all fixated on the architect joining the OG bloodline because of his ties with Roman Reigns. This was obviously a tape show. It felt it, it looked it, it sounded it. It was a tape show. I can't wait to get through these fucking tape shows. First of all, I hate the fucking holidays. Yes, I am the Grinch. So I can't wait for all of the tape shows to go away. I can't wait for Survivor Series, Saturday night's main events, Raw on Netflix, which just got announced at the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. Travis Scott is now the new musical artist composing the Monday Night Raw theme song. They're shaping things up to be a very big deal over there. The tape shows are really hindering my enjoyment of these programs Monday and Friday. But coming out of Friday, which I thought was a great SmackDown, Bronson Reed joined the bloodline, Solo's bloodline. The assassination is what they coined it of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns could not ride the wave of the tsunami that Bronson Reed delivered to him. Bronson Reed is the fifth man. My biggest question coming out of Friday Night SmackDown was, all right, just kind of piecing it together without giving too much of a spoiler away. We all know Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed were going to be in the main event coming out of Friday Night SmackDown. So piecing all of it together, if you guys are smart, which most of you are, you kind of figured where this was going. Bronson Reed attacks the bloodline. The bloodline gets involved. Solo Sikoa asked Seth Rollins to be on his team. He turned him down. Last week on Monday, you saw where all of this was going. So after Friday, we come to Monday, and the bloodline led by Solo Sikoa interfered and cost Seth Rollins the match tonight against Bronson Reed as he delivered the tsunami. 1, 2, 3, he got his win back from Crown Jewel. The biggest question coming out of this show, coming out of Friday's show on SmackDown, to me, is WWE going to do enough to tell the story of Seth Rollins teaming with Roman Reigns? I don't think they are. I don't think they can. I don't think that they would even venture down that path because there is no story. He told Sammy no. He told Solo no. He told Sammy, Jay, and Jimmy tonight no. And I put in quotes, under no circumstances will I team with Roman Reigns. Now you take that little nugget of promo that Seth Rollins delivered tonight and you apply it at the end of tonight's show, which was lame, as simple as could be. It was absolutely not exciting whatsoever. It was not the cliffhanger that we all wanted. I don't think Seth Rollins is the fifth man. I don't. This is the story that they're going with. They rather tell the story of who the fifth man is and not where is Paul Heyman or the internal problems, the internal destruction of egos that is destroying the OG bloodline from within, and can they coexist? This is the story that they're opting to tell. Who is the fifth man? Bronson Reed is the fifth man for Solo. They're going to keep you guessing on who the fifth man is for Roman. But my biggest question was, can they tell a story of Seth Rollins really fitting into Roman Reigns' bloodline at Survivor Series for War Games? The answer is no. The answer is no. Based off tonight's instance, based off tonight's happenings, there is absolutely zero way coming out of this show that Seth Rollins can, will, or should be a part of the OG Bloodline Survivor Series War Games team. It's not enough. What exactly is there for him to go out there and want to be in a diabolical double ring steel cage with 9 Samoans? I don't think tonight is really going to push him past that threshold, man. I don't. Oh, man, he lost to Bronson Reed tonight. Oh, man, Solo Sikoa. He just randomly appeared outside and he stood on the announce desk and he interfered and caused a little bit of a distraction for Seth Rollins, and he lost the match. 1, 2, 3, and Bronson Reed is in the ring and his hand is raised by the real tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. Give me a fucking break. At the end of tonight, whatever transpired is never going to fly with Seth Rollins being the 5th man at Survivor Series. It's not. Under no circumstances. That's it. It's over. He gave you his answer. Seth Rollins not at the Survivor Series in a meaningful way? Not in a match at Survivor Series? Listen, Survivor Series is not going to have a lot of people on the fucking show. Randy Orton's not going to be on the fucking show. What makes Seth Rollins so special and why Seth Rollins can't miss the show if Randy Orton was written out of storylines for the Survivor Series? It's going to be fine. He doesn't need to be shoehorned into this thing. So where do we go? Where do we go? I genuinely don't know. You have a very small list of people that could be the 5th man. Very, very small. Rollins was on that list. Cody was on that list. Clearly, they're not going with Cody. I told you exactly what they should be doing with Cody at Survivor Series. I said on Friday that Cody and Kevin Owens should wrestle at Survivor Series if they weren't going to be on either team. Cody on the OG Bloodline, which we saw Cody team with Roman at Bad Blood. Kevin Owens would have been a little outlandish to team with Solo Sikoa after all this time. I guess it would have made just as much sense with him teaming with Solo as Seth Rollins teaming with Roman, so they're not going in either direction. Cody's not on OG Bloodline. Kevin Owens is not with Solo Sikoa. They should be in a one-on-one match, non-title, unsanctioned. It is not being approved by WWE management. Non-title match. Whatever happens there, it is not WWE's problem. And Kevin Owens beats Cody Rhodes in a non-title match, which then grants him a WWE Championship match at Saturday night's main event, in the main event. And that's where we see Randy Orton come back, and he screws Kevin Owens out of that match and the title, and Cody goes on to win and retain. That's part one. You took away 2 of the options. You're doing something else for their storyline. That's exactly what should be done for their storyline. Because in storyline, with what Kevin Owens did to Randy Orton, it does not deserve a world title match, and WWE management should not allow that to happen. Whether they grant it or Cody grants it, he doesn't earn a title shot by bringing back a banned pile driver for 24 years to give Randy Orton cervical injuries. You don't do it that way. Non-title, unsanctioned. So those 2 options are off the table. Seth Rollins was the other option. Now, you're not going to shoehorn him in this thing because, oh my God, gee golly, Bronson Reed's in the match, man. Let's just mash these 2 feuds together. No, it doesn't work that way. That's lame. WWE creative under Triple H is a lot better than that. Bronson Reed fits like a glove. He looked like a fucking bulldozer out there on Friday night, and he's Samoan. He fits. And good for him. He's in the fucking main event of Survivor Series. Good for him. He deserves it. Now we move on to the OG Bloodline. It's not Cody. It's not Seth. It's not LA Knight. It's not any other babyface that doesn't belong there. The other 2 options are Brock Lesnar, which is not going to happen. I see a lot of people mentioning, oh, what if there's a beast incarnate at Survivor Series? No. Give me a break. Brock Lesnar will not be back on TV until Vince and his lawsuit is finally finished. Or when Trump pardons Vince McMahon and everything is settled with Janelle Grant. Nothing with Brock Lesnar is happening on TV this year. Could it happen next year? Sure. Anything can happen in the WWE, and I'm sure that they would like to have Brock Lesnar back on television. Brock Lesnar's out. So it's not Cody, it's not Seth, it's not Brock, it's not LA Knight, it's not Braun Breaker. The other option would be, being that he made his return at a house show for WWE this weekend, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman has mega history with Roman Reigns. He's got a lot of history with Bronson Reed. They just had a colossal 2-month feud on Monday Night Raw that ended basically, for now, in a last monster standing match. I think Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman would like to have unfinished business, being that that match ended in a very chaotic way. Now, I don't see that happening, and I would not do that myself, but it is an option for WWE to ponder. Outside that, there are no more options but one. And you guys know who I'm talking about just based off the process of elimination. The way that I would do this now after tonight's ending being such a letdown for WWE at the end of Monday Night Raw, this is how I would do it. Rollins basically gave you the answer. Under no circumstances would he team with Roman Reigns. Good. I hope he keeps his word, because it's only going to empower his character a little bit more, and it's going to make him look like he stands on his own 2 feet, and he's not a hypocrite, and he truly is an architect, and he truly is a revolutionary. Fine. Don't let him go back on his word, because whatever you do and whatever you concoct as a story is not going to make sense of what he said tonight. It would basically render his promo useless tonight. So he's out. Rollins is out. I would not announce a 5th man. I would not announce the 5th man. I would let all of this linger going on into November 30th. OG Bloodline is worried. They only got 4. And we got Solo Sikoa and his team with fucking Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu manning that side. It's over. The OG Bloodline is finished. Rollins has already denied Roman twice. Let's make it a 3rd time. 3 times, and that's it. Maybe we'll get him asked again, and maybe he'll say no again. I would not have any OG Bloodline member for a 5th man announced until the day of Survivor Series. When that match starts, and we see Paul Heyman, and he sees his boys in trouble, that's when we see him return. And he returns to announce the 5th man, a 5th man who he met and had an in-ring segment with on June 21st, 2024 in Chicago during his rehabilitation period, during his feud with Drew McIntyre. Paul Heyman interrupted a CM Punk promo in Chicago. And I want to read to you what CM Punk and Paul Heyman discussed in that ring on June 21st in Chicago when Paul Heyman interfered and interrupted CM Punk. CM Punk is in the ring with Paul Heyman as he walked out, and he says it's hot as balls outside. He said when Punk opens a show in Chicago, it's hot as balls inside the arena as well. He said Punk sat next to his children when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, despite being the wise man for the tribal chief. He says he basically looks at CM Punk as his best friend. That's it. Paul Heyman looks at CM Punk as his best friend. He said he meant it then, he means it now. Punk said there's only one person in the world who can hijack my promo and get them to chant Roman Reigns, and it's you. I forgive you. He invited him into the ring, but asked if he was okay. He says he doesn't look so good. They hugged. Heyman, teary-eyed. He stepped back, said he needed that hug because this was obviously during a time where he was being bullied by Solo Sikoa. This was obviously before the table spot that wrote him off of television at Madison Square Garden. Heyman says he heard on sports radio on the way to the arena that night in Chicago that Chicago is CM Punk's town. And that really pissed off Solo Sikoa. Heyman said now that Solo is the head of the table, Solo wants every town to be his town. He told Punk that any day he's going to get cleared, and anyone who steps in the ring with him will learn they are inside the ring with the best in the world. He told Punk if he doesn't leave, the bloodline will come out here for him. He said there is extra security, and he said it goes against his instincts, but he told him to get the hell out of Chicago right now. Punk dropped his head. He listened to Paul Heyman and his warning. Punk asked if he's serious and wanting him to leave because Solo and the Tongans are going to try to jump me in Chicago. He didn't believe him. Solo comes out. Solo told Punk he has two options. He says he needs to pay his respect to him and the bloodline, or they're about to make sure his ass never gets cleared to wrestle again. He asked Punk what he was going to do. Punk asked Heyman what the favor is he wanted to ask him of if he does him this favor. Heyman said, "Take me with you." Punk looked at Solo and said, "I acknowledge the fact that I don't see the bloodline standing in front of me. I see a bunch of fake-ass Usos and a phony cosplay tribal chief." That was it. That segment, to me, is the catalyst for what we will see over the next 2 weeks. That segment was done for a reason. And as soon as I heard all of the CM Punk discourse on social media, it's got to be Punk. It's got to be Punk. Punk is going to be the fifth man. I thought back to that CM Punk and Paul Heyman promo. And I said, you know what? We may be onto something here. So how do we do it? Is Punk the fifth man? It's looking like right now, CM Punk could possibly be the man, the perfect fit for Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. But how do we get there? Don't announce him until Survivor Series. Paul Heyman comes out in Vancouver at Survivor Series when his number is drawn to enter the match. He comes out, he does his whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, crowd goes crazy. He introduces CM Punk. It would be very weird for CM Punk to not be on Survivor Series this year after it was the show last year, which he returned to the WWE. The only hang-up would be he just wrestled inside a Hell in the Cell. He wrestled Drew McIntyre in one of the best Hell in the Cell matches the company's ever produced. Does he want, and does WWE want, to put him inside a War Games after wrestling inside a Hell in the Cell? That's the only holdup. But if you're going to act CM Punk, he'd probably give you, fuck yeah, man. Punk is here to make money. Punk is here to make memories. Punk is here to fix everything that happened all those years ago. And if it makes sense, and it leaves a legacy, and it leaves a lasting impression and a memory, Punk is going to do it. So I don't see why it would be a problem for Punk. In fact, if you ask him, he'll probably give you a fucking yes before you even ask him. Has Punk ever been in a War Games match? No. There's a first time for everything. He's the fifth man. At the end of that match, he's the fifth man. And he is the momentum that carries the OG bloodline to beat Solo's bloodline in War Games. What this effectively does is take CM Punk, the man to step up and take the spot that Rollins denied for now twice. Punk showing that he could put his differences aside with Paul Heyman. Punk showing he could put his differences aside with Roman, who there was beef with in and out of the ring, to help him beat a cosplay Solo Sikoa tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. Seth Rollins is going to look at this. 1 year ago, Wasn't he in War Games? Didn't he team with Cody Rhodes? Didn't he reluctantly team with Cody Rhodes? He did it. And then who showed up at the end of that match to steal all of the work that Seth Rollins put into that match? It was CM Punk. Second year in a row, CM Punk shows up and steals Seth Rollins' thunder all over again. And Rollins is not even a part of the match. They asked Rollins. He said no. So CM Punk says yes at the request of Paul Heyman. And it makes Punk the better man compared to Seth Rollins. And it makes Seth Rollins look like a petty bitch. Rollins is going to be bothered by this. Seth Rollins is going to be bothered by this. And that is going to kickstart the feud on the way to Rollins and Punk at WrestleMania. That's it. Where do we go after Survivor Series? Well, weeks ago, it was CM Punk who made a mention of Gunther. He wants a world championship match. After Gunther takes care of Damian Priest at Survivor Series, we got this little show called Saturday Night's Main Event. You could do it there. If not, they're going to need a major match on Netflix, January 6th. CM Punk versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Who wins? Clearly not Punk. Why? Seth Rollins. Rollins is going to interfere in that match and cost Punk the title, and that will carry them through the Royal Rumble, and that will carry them through WrestleMania season and kickstart the feud and get the WrestleMania match that should have been this year at 40, at 41. Rollins and Punk, one-on-one, no title, only ego and only bragging rights. And that's how you do it, and that's how you kickstart Punk and Rollins going into WrestleMania season. And that's what I would do as far as the fifth man is concerned for Survivor Series. It all makes sense. It all makes sense.